And welcome back in to another new episode of Tribal Council Chat. As always, we are your hosts. My name is Bruce Heller,
Parnell.
and let's dive in. So, this is our first episode of the new off season. We've officially made it through an entire season of Survivor as a show,
Yeah.
and we're starting the off season with our first two episodes of the off season being each of our second chance cast, starting with Brett's cast this week. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it should be really exciting. Just thought we'd think fun over the week of Christmas and ready to get to it.
Yep.
So this just for the audience is going to be very similar to when we did our Legends cast. Bruce and I are doing our second chance two cast for Algo this week, and then he's going to go with his cast next week.
Yep.
Bruce, you've disabled my screen sharing.
I didn't know I could do that. 1 second, sorry. Sorry to those of you listening to this. There you go. Try it now.
That's good. So let's open up this slide, and we have second chance to something I think a lot of the fan base talks about in groups like Survivor Fan Jury, but also kind of hopes that we get at some point soon.
Yeah, for sure. And
Ready for the
I like this cover picture of a Second Chance 2 logo. Send this to me when we're done.
yeah. Ready for the theme?
Yep.
New
Nice.
school versus new era.
I like it.
One is use the exact same layout, like the same season format in Grant Steel as Cambodia.
Yeah.
So it's gonna follow the same as the original Second Chance, the same tribe names, the same twist, that sort of thing.
Nice.
So we
Takeo is
have
one
the
of my favorite.
Takeo tribe.
This is one of my favorite buffs, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I love the
Yeah,
color.
I agree. It's great.
Cambodia as a whole just had such cool buff colors.
Oh, it did. And this tribe is going to consist of all castaways from the new era competing against the Bayon tribe of all castaways from New School, except for, as I'm sure you remember from Cambodia, there's a lot of tribe swaps in this season.
Yeah.
And to start with the first castaway, who better to deserve a second chance than our most recent zero vote finalist, Jake O'Kane?
Oh, I like this. What a fun character. And
Yeah.
he kind of was a floating number through a lot of the season, but such a good storyteller, such great confessionals. And like after a while of him being Charlie Brown every episode, you kind of start to feel bad for him and root for him. So
Exactly.
would love to see Jake back again.
Moving on, we're gonna stay in season 45 among I didn't put any rules on like how many players from one season or another. I just tried to focus on what cast do I want and what cast do I think is realistic put together. That was really my only two parameters. So moving on, we're gonna stay with another player from season 45.
Oh, I like this. I love Caleb. He may or may not be on mine also. So
Nice. So now we're gonna move into season. We're gonna skip season 44 amongst the men. I know that might be unpopular with some, and we're gonna move into season 43, and we have Owen Knight.
I like this pick. Another zero vote finalist, but I feel like
Yeah,
he did decent. Like I enjoyed watching him. He broke one of my favorite challenges. Not like actually broke it the way Jake did in the 45 finale, but like metaphorically broke last gasp him like going past the tide till the tide started falling again. So, and he might have actually physically broken one too. Wasn't it him that like bent a pole or something?
yeah, I think so.
Wow, he broke a challenge 2 different ways. Nice.
And now to move on from, we've had 2-0 vote finalists, someone who actually got a vote but didn't win the money. Hoboken Mike T
Oh, I love Mike Turner. This is such a good pick.
from 42.
This is such a good pick. I love him. Honestly, he probably would have gotten my jury vote in 42, honestly.
Agreed. And then to wrap out the men, we're going to season 41. Somebody who, if anything, you could say CBS owes a second chance to, someone who almost quit, Danny McRae.
Yeah, I love Danny. One of my favorite players of the new era. And just such a fun, likable guy. And
Yeah,
I think getting to see him play again would be awesome.
I agree. I thought he was going to win. Seeing what he went through on that season, definitely, I think he was a lock for my second chance. Probably the first male name on the board.
Yeah,
Now, if we have Denny, we and I just said that Denny was a Rob player in 41. We got to go to another even more so Rob player in 41. They hate her because they ain't her.
nice. This is a good pick. She's fun. I believe I have a 41 Luvu buff that she autographed for me that I just sent in the mail and she sent back. So
Nice.
great
So
confessionals.
chatted with her on Zoom before.
Yeah, we did. I almost forgot about that.
Now moving the ranks, going from season 41 back up towards 45. We're gonna go next to a player who was taken out of the game in a way that she really couldn't control, and therefore I felt deserved this, and that's Chloe Meehan.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see her again.
He was definitely someone who knew the strategic game and was just ready to play. It was unfortunate to see her go out how she did.
Yeah, for sure.
Now we're going to stay in 42, and we're going to go to someone that I've commented on quite a bit lately that I feel was destined to win the season, and that's Lindsay Leschwitz.
Yeah, Lindsay's a great pick. Her little frenemy slash rivalry with Jonathan throughout the whole post merge was entertaining. But I liked both of them, so I didn't really know what to do there. But I could see her coming back and doing
Was
really
my
well.
last male that I decided to cut. He
Yeah,
was almost on this cast.
he was so. I'd love to see him again. He was great.
And I mentioned that Mike was a player with who got a vote at the final. Ready for another one?
Yep,
Cassidy Clark.
nice. She was great on 43. Loved her on Challenge USA too. And I think if she came back to Survivor, she could do really well.
Yeah. I never factored in relationships with the actual sim that you're about to see, but I did try to get some pairs that I would like to see again, like her and Owen, like Denny and Sydney. You'll see some others come up in my other tribe as well.
Yeah. If they ever do another rival season of the challenge, putting Cassidy and Carla on there as a rookie pair for a rivals challenge season would be great.
Yeah. And then the final name for the cast, Chloe Rapson, someone who never really got a chance in 44, went
Interesting
out
pick.
early, never participated in one challenge, but in the preseason, I thought she was a really fun character, someone that was my winner pick. And I thought, hey, put a pre-merger on this tribe.
Yeah, I like this pick, and it's a pick I didn't see coming, but I think she could a do really well game wise coming back, and B would just bring entertainment to the show.
Absolutely agreed with both. So the two players that I cut last were Jonathan and Carolyn, mostly because I just thought Jonathan is just all physical. And Carolyn, I felt might not be the best fit. She did an amazing game in her first game, but I kind of almost agree with like the way that I said she's playing great, but don't model your game after her.
Yeah.
And therefore, we already know who Carolyn is, and I wasn't sure if she'd be all that successful in a returning season.
So we've been through the whole new era tribe now, right? Did you say Jesse and I'm just not remembering it, or did he not make the cut?
Thank you. I forgot to mention it. Any plot one from my Legends cast is not going to be featured in this season.
Oh, you texted me that. I forgot about that. Okay.
I forgot to mention it to the audience. So that means no Jesse, no Victoria, um, a couple of other names that might just stand out of why aren't they here. That's why I was struggling to pick people, and I'm like, Angelina's another one. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to just sound like a broken record and pick half the same cast.
See, your Legends cast was a lot like different type of like my Legends cast was very stereotypical and it's people
Yeah,
that have played multiple times, so I luckily didn't really have that issue. But
that's always nice. In this one, I started to have that issue, so I'm like, oh, let's go with some other names on the list. But
yeah,
no, that's why Jesse isn't here, is because I put him on what I felt would be a much bigger season where he's playing with names like Sierra and Michelle and Perv and
yeah,
Yam Yam, and as opposed to this cast.
yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So moving on, we have Bion. New school players. So how I featured that, I know we often say new schools 20 is Nicaragua. I agree with that definition, but I also don't think that a lot of the players from those like early 20 seasons are really in contention to come back again. So to keep an equal number of seasons roughly with some returning seasons in there that I cut out, I decided to start after the old second chance. So these are players that were never able to get onto a second chance ballot. It
Yeah.
starts at Kolong and goes up to Island of the Idols.
Poor T-Bird got missed out on the original second chances ballot by a little bit and just didn't even make the ballot for your second chances.
That's true, but I wanted to keep roughly about the same amount of players in contention.
Oh, I know. I'm just joking around, but
Oh, I know.
I
So ready to get see who's on here?
yeah.
We'll start with the women on this tribe and go back to the men. And I mean, I'm sure it's not even a surprise to anybody. I have to start with Julia.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah. A player who first played in Kolong at 18, and I know I've said this on the podcast before. She was probably the first name on my new school list. Someone that I think might play a totally different game as a full adult as opposed to a teenager, and I would love to see her get another shot.
Yeah. I think she could do really well coming back. We didn't really see a
She
ton.
she almost won the first time if she could have got to the end with the men.
Yeah, and weirdly for how far she got, we really didn't see a ton from her edit wise and confessional wise, so I'd be interested to see more of her what seems like a pretty fun personality than what the edit and Co Wrong showed.
Moving on, Nolan from Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers.
This is a solid pick. This season doesn't get a lot of credit because it introduced forced fire at 4, which a lot of people hate. I don't mind as much. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. But Ashley's a really good player from this season. The Challenge USA has showed us Desi is a great player from this season. And so this season is almost underrated a little bit. Like it's not one of my favorites, but it's a
I
good.
really debated between her and Desi for this spot, and my thought was just kind of Ashley isn't on reality TV anymore, so I thought it might be a nice pick. She's certainly someone that still as seen on Instagram, stays in good shape and such, and I think would play again. Desi, I fully expect to see at some point soon move over to the MTV version of the challenge and be playing with players like Michelle.
Yeah,
And I think that she's more gonna be doing that quite for quite a few seasons now. Desi's certainly become a fan favorite of the challenge that way.
yeah.
Next,
Ooh,
Laura,
interesting.
a player who broke the only tie in Survivor between Dom and Wendell.
Yeah, so Laurel's a really interesting pick. I admittedly wasn't expecting it, but she did well enough to get herself to final three, and her and Wendell had a strong enough relationship that is like Ghost Island was the first season I ever watched live, like saw ever. And as soon as I realized she would be the tie-breaking vote, I pretty much figured Wendell had won because the two of them were so close. So credit to her for building that strong of a relationship. And I think she could do well coming back, possibly.
Really, Ghost Island, in my mind, is actually one of the kind of underrated, but one of the top casts of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
And mentioning that, we're going to go to another Ghost Island player with my next selection, and it's Kellen Benshield.
Interesting. I like this pig. I've heard her on RHAP a little bit, but I think she'd be really fun to watch coming back again.
I agree. She definitely knew the strategic side of the game and really excels there. Could make some very big moves in a cast like this.
Yeah. Get her on the tribe that can get the numbers going into the merge, and we can have something that rivals her saying Navidi strong 1,000 times an episode again, but with a new tribe
Yeah.
this time.
And finally, the last female on the tribe. This won't come as a surprise to anybody.
Nice. As I've said before, probably my favorite one-time player.
I
So
got to say, I guarantee she's on your cast.
yeah, we have a few people in common. So
Nice.
yeah, I would love to see her play again so much. I feel like she did really well the first time. Got down to 5 or 6, I want to say,
Yeah.
and so would love to see
Thanks
her.
to Lauren that I put in that rule because I just sat there and looked at the screen and said, "Hello, Victoria. Hello, Victoria. Hello, Victoria." And I was like, I picked Victoria last time. Lauren's in the cast. And
Yeah,
that's when Jesse got cut, Angelina got cut from this cast.
and because you said that, Lauren or Victoria, little sneak peek because I don't want to give away too much. They both made mine, so
Now into the men for the new school, and we're gonna go to Island of the Idols with my first pick. Somebody that I've met in real life, one of the nicest guys I've ever, Jamal.
I actually really like Jamal, and I mean, Island of the Idols obviously has a huge like black mark on it as a season because of the Dan Spilo situation. But one thing I really love from this season is just the moment with Jamal and Jack. It is genuinely just
I love that.
a teaching moment, and not Jamal getting onto Jack for saying something insensitive, but just genuinely wanting to teach and seeing Jack just genuinely want to learn. Such a cool
Mm.
moment during what was
Oh,
not a great season.
yeah, it was a great moment, and not only did Jamal use that as a teaching moment for Jack, but maybe not intentionally used it as a teaching moment for so many members of the audience.
Oh, for sure.
Moving on, we're going to someone my mom is going to recognize recently because she just watched a movie, John Clark.
Nice. I finished rewatching this season recently, and like within the past month, I think. And I found myself liking him a lot more this time than I did when I first watched the season. Just seems like
I
such a
liked him on
fun
the show.
guy.
Yeah, it was funny because my mom was watching the movie about his teaching career recently, but I walked down after I finished work, look at the screen, hear them talking about Mr. Ron Clark, and I'm like, "You know who that is, right?" She's like, "No."
That's great.
All right. And moving on to Pat Cusack. First
Interesting.
out after being medevac from David versus Goliath.
I did not see this one coming, but I feel like part of me wants to say he could do well coming back, and part of me, because I'm on like the third or fourth episode rewatching this season right now. I'm right after the
Yeah.
swap, and like I do remember a lot of his mates were thinking of him as like being a bit bossy, or like he was a little much at times. So I feel like he might be able to do well, but I feel like he might kind of get carried away with the shelter building and setting up of camp, and would come off as bossy a little bit,
I
and
completely agree with
that
you
could get him in
on
trouble.
that. I'm not sure how he would do, but I mean, he's the only medevac, I think, to not be medevaced at camp and not by anything under his own control. He was medevaced after hitting a wave and falling on a boat that was provided by production. So I
Yeah,
think it would be neat to see him get an actual chance to play.
yeah, it would.
Moving on, I mentioned something about Desi. Now I'm hoping somebody goes the opposite way. This is a person we're seeing a lot on reality television lately, but that I'd love to see get a second chance to play Survivor, and that's Jay Sterrett.
Yeah, I liked him on Survivor a lot. He was one of my favorites of his Survivor season. He kind of drives me insane on the challenge sometimes, just because he kind of doesn't think things through, I feel like, at times. But on Survivor, I really liked him a lot, and I would like to see him on there again.
Yes. And then finally, we're gonna wrap this up at Kolong, and that's Scott Pollard, the villain of the season.
Yeah, not a huge fan, just because the to me, what the most memorable scene from him is, we're gonna hide like the machete and flint and force the girls to make fire on their own. And then when the girls do it, he just dumps water on it. But I mean, maybe he might be able to do well coming back. It's just if he could be a little bit more social. And
I wasn't a huge fan of him on the season, but I do know that after the game, him and Julia have maintained a relationship going up until today. So that's where I put him in. I was like, it would be neat to see if the two of them would work together again. Maybe Michelle can get Jay in that alliance, and they could be kind of pretty powerful.
yeah, for sure.
Um, so now moving on, we have our tribes.
Nice.
Any early reactions just before we go into how the sim played out?
I like your tribes, and I like your theme a lot. This is a fun season.
Nice. All right. So let's zoom up to the first swap where we have Cassidy, Claire, Laurel, Lauren, Owen, and Ron on a tribe. Jay, Kellen, Pat, Scott, Sydney, and Tori. And Ashley, Danny, Jake, Jamal, Julia, and Caleb.
Yeah, Sydney Tori on New Takeo has the chance to be quite the duo, I feel like.
It sure does.
That's what stick.
I think you have the.
Also, Lauren and Laurel on a tribe together isn't going to be confusing to people at all.
That's for sure.
And then I feel like this version of Angkor will probably do better than Angkor did in real life, which was just a disaster. So,
Absolutely. Um, Moving on to the next swap, because as you know, there's a bunch of swaps in this. And I should add at this point, this is on week 3. So Claire Refson has the immunity idol from TKO.
nice.
There's a new swap where we have Cat. The Bion tribes essentially stayed together. Cassidy, Claire, Laurel, Lauren, Owen, and Ron. We have Takeo of Jay, Kellen, Pat, and Sydney. And then we have Anchor of Ashley, Danny, Jake, Jamal, and Caleb. So therefore, that duo that we talked about never perspired.
No, but I'm sure it created some entertaining scenes either way.
Sure would. Ready to merge?
Yep. Oh, Lauren
Moving to
didn't make
merge.
it. Darn it.
No. We have Ashley, Nolan, Cassidy Clark, Claire Rafson, Denny McRae, Jake O'Kane, Jamal Shipman, Caleb Graberwood, Kellen Betcheld, Laurel Johnson, Owen Knight, Pat Cusack, Ron Clark, and Sydney Segal.
Nice. I like this.
You
This is
want to take a bet at merge of who's going to win the season?
um. I'm going to go with Jake for some reason. Just a gut response.
All right. And the final six, the players that make the finale:
This
Ashley, Jake, Caleb, Kellen, Owen, and Sydney. So Jake's still in it.
45 representing well, man.
I should add at this point, Jake found a hidden immunity idol on the merge beach and played it effectively,
Wow.
saving himself.
And to be fair to Jake, on our finale recap, I made the comment like everyone knew he had it because the whole season he couldn't keep a secret to himself, which is true. He couldn't. But the thought of, I'm going to tell everyone about it so that I don't get the votes and I can use it on someone else. It's not a bad plan. Like it made sense.
I said that when I was watching the episode.
Yeah, it just his execution of it was bad, but that's kind of Jake most of the season. He has a good idea and then executes poorly.
Yeah.
This is a fun final six, though.
It is. A lot of neat different personalities in there too. You have someone like I could see kind of like Caleb and Owen being similar, Kellen and Sydney being similar, Jake and Ashley being a swing here.
Yeah, for sure.
And to our final three, Jake, Caleb, and Kelly. Sydney was the fallen angel of the season, and Ron Clark was medevaced at in the final.
Dang. Stinks for Ron. This is a fun final three, though. The 45 showed out for this second chance season.
45. We didn't call it the best season of the new era for nothing.
No, we did not.
And if I look at that, 3, 2, 3, 3, 4, 3. Jury is equally split between new era and new school, which is interesting.
Nice. I liked
And
it.
moving on to our winner, I did not share any information with Bruce about this before we started podcasting.
Yay!
Jake O'Kane has won the
Hey,
game.
I was right. Cool.
You
And a 5-4-1 vote, too, so we almost had a tie.
we sure did.
Interesting. This is a fun cast. I like this season.
Sorry, Ron was medevaced earlier. It was Owen who was medevaced in the finale. And as you may also notice there, Ashley Nolan goes home drawing rocks. I think that was like an Owen Sydney Caleb vote or something at
wow.
6.
That is wild.
So,
Nice.
on the results.
Yep. This is a fun season.
Yeah. And you'll all see this if you're watching on YouTube of exactly how it played out.
This is yeah. So really great cast, dude. I like your theme, and I think with the theme, you did a really good job selecting people.
So we still have 9 minutes ish. Let's go into an aligned blindside first boot of players from this cast that I've never selected before for aligned blindside first boot, at least that I can remember. If I did pick one of these people, I apologize. But we are going to go with Ashley Nolan, Ron Clark, and Loyal Johnson.
Excuse me. Interesting. So I think I'll align with Ashley because we didn't see a ton of her edit wise, but she seems like a really strong player and a really loyal player that I can get to the end with, and I don't have to worry about turning on me. I think I will blindside Ron, and I think as a juror he would give me props for that, hopefully, which leaves Laurel being first boot as the only option left.
Nice. I am also going to align with Ashley. I think she'd be very good as a loyal ally to take to the end. I am going to flip your other two. I'm going to blindside Loyal. I think it would be interesting to see her on the jury, especially if you did build a relationship with her, something she's very good at. She would respect that. We've seen her do it with Wendell. And Ron is a player who self admittedly says in Survivor, you can do everything you can't do in real life. And that's dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. And so the three names for you, two people that I kind of gave a sneak peek of and said that they were on my cast as well as yours, are going to be Lauren O'Connell and Danny McRae. And then a third person that I mentioned comes up in a lot of second chance conversations throughout the fandom, and that is T-Bird Cooper from Survivor Africa. That somehow missed out on the Cambodia ballot. I don't know how, but
With that going to align with Danny, I think he seems like a really great guy. Certainly going to help you physically. He won the challenge. He played in the NFL. At the same time, we know pro athletes don't always do the best in this game when it comes to actually getting the votes to win.
yeah.
And if he's played for the Dallas Cowboys, the jury might look at that in terms of he already has money. Who knows what his own personal finances are, but it could help you in the end. I am going to, with that, blindside Lauren. I think she'd be a great person to work with. I would like to see her with a hidden immunity idol. Maybe she would give it to me. And that leads me to first boot T-Bird. I love T-Bird. I'm sorry. I have to say though, after the experience that I had about to my cruise, there's a lot of things that customers oh sorry that people in Survivor talk about when they're just bored sitting around the fire, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like travel stories might come up and I may end up offending her commenting on how horribly I was treated by her employer that I know she passionately loves.
True.
And therefore, that might be the end of my game right there, thanks to me ranting about being 22 hours late for a cruise ship, thanks to Delta Airlines.
Yeah, and the thing is, I also love T-Bird. I'm aligning Lauren, so like T-Bird has to be first boot or blindside anyway. But and listening to her when she would do Talking with T-Bird on RHAP, which I have not seen a new episode from that for a while. I hope that podcast is still a thing at some point.
I think it's usually an off-season thing more so.
Okay, so hopefully that's coming back. But
For it.
like, even if you watch online, like on Facebook and stuff, she's just so sweet and so nice interacting with the fans.
Yes.
Like I've never met her in real life. I'm pretty sure I got a happy birthday post from her on Facebook. That's not someone I want to sit next to at the end. I love T-Bird to death, but no way do I want to give the jury her as an option over me.
Yeah.
So, and that just I first boot and blindside between her and Danny. I don't know. I'll go blindside Danny. Just having him on my tribe pre-merge will help us in challenges and help us stay away from tribal. But I love all three of these players.
Well, that was fun. Looking forward to seeing yours next week.
Yep. And this was a fun week. We'll have my second chance cast next week. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Have a great week, guys.
So just